GM.
GM, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How's it going?
Doing great here. Yeah, that's finally cold weather for where I'm at, and so that is my happy place.
It
Just
is? I did
yeah,
not know this about
I'm
you.
originally I landed in Florida first, and so Florida has two seasons, and neither of them are there. It's like hot and really, really hot. And so where I'm at now in Michigan has seasons, and that is fun, and I like that. And I like the colder ones because just I don't know. I'd much rather when you're hot, you can only take so much off before you get arrested, and you can always put more layers on.
Is
If it's
that
cold,
is that why Florida man?
a lot of things happen in Florida for lots of various reasons, but I won't go for this podcast. But yeah, so I'm loving the fall vibes and the fall weather, and so yeah.
Florida, to your point about the weather, I was told if you don't like the weather in Florida, wait 5 minutes.
That's a Michigan thing for sure. I don't know about Florida, but here it's like if it would be like, oh, it's a lovely day outside, and then like 5 minutes later it'll start snowing, and then 5 minutes after that it's back to sunny and it's melting all the snow, and then it starts raining, and then like somehow, yeah, Michigan is very much like someone has the levers and they're pulling all of them all the time usually. But Florida, the only thing with Florida is like every day at 3 p.m. it like thunderstorms like crazy for like 20 minutes, and then after that it's just hot and humid, and so that's the only thing that I can say.
Well, I'm on the island, as we know, and
Exactly.
I've Lummi Island, and I've been out here for 16 days. It was glorious in the sunshine, but we've had like back-to-back days of rain, and I can see how that like island cabin fever can sneak in because it's like, oh, it's raining and there's nobody here. Like it's a little
Good time to
different.
mint some NFTs, get a lot of
Yes,
training. Yeah, no,
exactly.
but yeah, I can see that, especially if it's like a smaller town and it's like it's not.
And nothing's open during the week, so basically,
Oh,
like Monday through Thursday is like a ghost town. There's no coffee shop, there's no restaurant, there's nada.
wow.
So
Well,
you have to
we'll ship you a crate of board games or something to get you through some
touch on
rations.
shells.
Yeah, that'd be great. But no, it's been a busy week on the Superchain.
It has been a busy week on this.
Lots to go over. So.
We do have a lot to get into, but let's do official stuff. Let's do welcomes. Let's do the front of house stuff. So good morning, everybody, and welcome. This is the Superchain Spotlight edition of the Good News Show. I'm Rachel Wilkins, and I am thrilled to have you with us as we embark on this weekly journey together. Brock and I getting into the heart of the Superchain ecosystem. If this is your first time tuning into the Good News Show, a big warm welcome. This is a show that's been around since 2022, and we're on a mission to create a positive space for forward thinkers. And in 2023, we proudly partnered with TIMEPieces as part of Time's groundbreaking Web3 initiative. And we have over 350 episodes under our belt with over 100 guests. But with this show, we are zooming in on the Superchain, a space brimming with opportunities for creators and builders to join a vibrant new community. And each week you can find us here on Wednesdays getting into Superchain breaking news. So we got a lot to get to, Brock, I think. What do you think? Should we just get into it?
Yeah, I'm happy to just dive into it.
All right.
Where should we start?
Where should we start? That's a good question because we've got a lot.
There was an event that literal cookies were baked to celebrate. Degen has landed on Coinbase. Like, so
Yes.
that is like not only like there's like meme coins and things like that, but this is like, to my knowledge, like the first major like meme coin, if you want to call it that, but tipping token. Like there's a lot of like utility behind Degen despite its name. And it's finally landed. It's a base layer 2 on the Superchain token, like prime time within Coinbase. And I think it's interesting because a lot of times like meme coins get like a bad rap, or tipping tokens like just seems like it's something that is not for everybody. But this one was, if you think about it, it's like an airdrop that happened. So no IPO, no buying in. It was an airdrop that was decided by the community themselves through tipping. Like you would get an allowance, and you could then say like, hey, I really enjoy your content. Here's 100 Degen, or here's 5 Degen, or here's 10,000 Degen. Like people are going crazy with it, and that's how then monthly there would be a snapshot, and whatever you were tipped is what you actually received. So it's kind of this slow rolled airdrop that empowers you with no skin in the game other than showing up in ways to earn that allowance, than to distribute who deserves that airdrop. So it's really interesting to see like the start, the duration, and then now ending up in like front and center for a lot of people's like welcome mat to crypto.
It's taken quite an evolution. Just my journey is missed the first airdrop, which was the biggie, because I was lagging getting onto Farcaster despite Prof. Werder telling me to get over. So missed that, but we don't cry about that one. Got a nice healthy second airdrop. Decided to vault the airdrop, and by doing so, got a nice daily allowance of, I think, about 3,000 degen, which has allowed me to do some really great things. And I think that's the beauty of this ecosystem, is that well, first of all, it's just kind of created a whole different mindset in terms of the type of content I think that people put out, because there's less hot garbage, let's be honest, on Farcaster than there is on Twitter. But there was a surge of people that I think came to Farcaster because of degen, and we've since kind of had those people like whittle out, would you say?
Yeah, I think that there was a dinner bell rung when people were getting, I think some folks got like $10,000 equivalent in degen, like with the big major update or airdrop. And then there was like the shenanigans, I think on Valentine's Day, where you could tip up to like 1 million degen each, and like it was just wild times. And I think that brought a lot of folks that were, it's like life-changing money, and so people rushed in, and then they're like, okay, wait, what's the way to maximize this? And it turned into like a lot of people spinning up bots and AI accounts, like where they would even tip.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, to that point though, I think it stress tested what degen should be and how to kind of like make it to where it doesn't change from the original ethos of like, let's make something that's cool and fun and can tip and create this creator economy, but then also have like 1 foot fences that like where it starts to become harder to game it than to just show up naturally. And I think that it's starting to hit a sweet spot for some of that. I do think that because of the like up and then like the dissatisfied, and then now it's trying to climb up, that slow and steady has turned some folks where it's just like, I can't keep up with all the changes. And so there's been that, but hopefully it kind of will stabilize and just, it's still baked into the culture of Farcaster, I think. So yeah, I think it's awesome to see again that started from simple beginnings, doing something different, and now it's neck and neck with some really, really interesting like bigger coins too and tokens. So not financial advice, don't buy whatever you want, don't buy whatever you don't want. But again, the story behind the token and kind of like living through that history, it's just cool to see that it lands like front and center on Coinbase.
Yes, and also not only did it land on Coinbase this week, but also there was some talk around monitoring tip for tip. So that's basically anybody who's just like, if Brock and I were sending tips back and forth to each other every day.
When my only tip person goes to you and you only tip me every day. Yeah, because I think there was some people like with multiple counts that were doing that. And it turned into this like circle game of like every day you just show up and cyclone money to extract versus like I'm tipping my allowance out and things like that. So,
which doesn't serve the purpose of what it was built to do, but
correct. Yes. Yeah, I think we're slowly crawling back to the. Yeah. I like this content. I appreciate this, like you posting this, or this was really helpful. Thank you, and tipping somebody for that. So it's exciting to see everything kind of sliding back into maybe a more leveled up or mature place for this kind of token and this like experiment, really.
So hat stays on.
Hat stays on.
Hat stays on. All right. So moving on from degen, what else? Base has been making a lot of moves internationally. We've seen, obviously, Jesse made the move. Well, I shouldn't say made the move because he's still creator and running Base, but he's now split himself into 2 roles and is leading Coinbase Wallet. But in addition,
there's a lot of synergy with that move, though. Like I think that it's being able to kind of say like, we're going to build our own wallet. I've got really good ideas for this, and instead of building something that's a second mousetrap or what have you, let's align this synergy. Like Coinbase, I think is kind of like, you're really passionate. We really like these ideas. Take where we're at and use that to get there faster, and we all win by default. So I'm sure there is an additional kind of growth in his role, but I don't think it's now I'm doing two lanes. I think this was the direction and the momentum they wanted to go anyway with Base, to have like that like first class like wallet and just like be the gateway to being on chain, and then just having some additional resources and stuff put behind that. So.
And they dropped a really nice shiny new website, which is super slick. We have to give props to the Base design team, because everything that is coming from them is just gold. It's beauteous. Let's just take a quick look. I'm going to share screen. Did you get a chance to snoop around?
I did sneak peek when it dropped. I have not gone like page by page, but I was looking more of like, is the dev resources still there and things like that. And so, yeah, it's all there. I think it's just more palatable for people, and it's also more just interactive and exciting visually. And I think that does a really good job of kind of setting the foundation or the footing for where we're headed next. And then what's really cool too is I think there's a more push, like even if you can mint an NFT for this like celebration, but there's a push for getting on chain, right? So if someone's never heard of Base or anything, they can come here and really quickly jump on. And then if you're already a part of the pack, then it pulls in your Base name automatically. It shows you like tons of other things. And so it's kind of like new on-ramp, but also like a core solid resource for a lot of folks. So, and it just makes sense as far as the organization. So super excited to continue to send people here and onboard folks as I come across new people.
So something that really struck me yesterday was this news. We've been thinking about just sports communities in general and how kind of primed they are for tokenized assets. The Melbourne Marathon. So Base announced yesterday that it's an official crypto partner of Melb Mara, bringing 30,000 plus race finishers on chain with personalized digital metal claimable on Base. Love this use case. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think this goes along the lines of like a lot of things. What we said we were going to see too is like an NFT. I think can just be a static thing that we all like mint together. It can be a one of one that is from like an artist, or it can be like this where it's a personalized token that why wouldn't you want that? And then it can be passed down or what have you. And so for this to capture your time, the percentage of which you finished, your name, the medal if you've got one, like all of that, I think it goes from minting just art or minting just like a one tiny event instead of minting your own personal kind of history, and then that gives like authority to your wallet and all these other things. Like that's something that you just can't. I can't just go and mint one of these things. It had to go to a specific registered wallet and what have you. And so just have to onboard people with this such a cool kind of like token of their personal history and let others be able to see that on chain. I just think that's really cool. And so for all the runners, I believe for this like running situation, then they're now all on chain, whether they were on before or not. So you're creating a really, really cool intro to being on chain for these folks. And I think the barrier of entry is, I think in the email it said, or in the tweet above it said, like, just watch out, your email's coming and you can claim it through there. So these folks are going to kind of hit an email, get a smart wallet, I'm assuming, and then be able to claim that for free. And now they're on chain, right? And they can see start to finish how fast it is with something they physically did. Excuse me.
I think
so it's super cool to see.
Yeah, I think what would be really cool, given that they now have this as a kind of a jumping off point as a use case, is to see this happen with the big six. There's 6 world major marathons. I only know this because my wife ran the marathon for the first time last year, and we have some friends in and around the organization. But there's 6 majors, and it's a huge, huge kind of holy grail to actually complete all of those 6. They are, in case you're curious, let's just figure it out here: Tokyo, Boston, London, Berlin, Chicago, and New York City, with Boston being the notoriously most difficult one to get into. You have to have a certain speed, I think, be above a certain threshold, but it'd be really cool to see this kind of be like a lead, a game changer, something that is like a stake in the ground to say, let's get all of these.
Yeah, I mean, it's a super great case study, right? Yes. For other races, and like the execution, I'm sure you can modify the art, you can enhance it in different ways. But I mean, this is already it's already built, right? And so getting it to the point where it can be just reused through the official channels is huge. And then you get somebody that not only gets their own personal, but then, as you said, if they can complete all of them, they've now got like the on-chain proof that they were there. You can link it to geo-tracking of like where, like that they were physically there, all kinds of other stuff. That is just.
And
like,
it would be really cool to see
story.
like brand activations and unlocks for folks who just have those 5 things, and you really start to see kind of earned opportunity.
Yeah.
So let's maybe put this out to the universe then. The Olympics, we got 4 years. Can we get Olympic gold medals on chain?
I mean, the circles are already chained. It's built. It's already it writes itself. But yeah, I think that would be super cool to do more on-chain activations that are not. I think another cool thing of this is not like, and then now you can buy this thing. Like it's really getting into like the onboarding folks for the sake of just showing the cool stuff instead of it being like you can buy this token and now you can do that. Like that makes sense in some cases, but for somebody that's not on chain yet, they don't see the value. This is a quick way to like the return on the investment of their attention to get them on chain, and then let the world like then slowly open up of the on chain miss. But yeah, super cool to see activations like this that are bringing, I think it's 30,000 people on chain in one go.
Yep. I always just kind of come back to something that I heard very early on in my kind of on-chain crypto journey, and that was I'd spent the day with Bernd Banksy, the guy who bought the Banksy piece, set fire to it, and then minted it as an NFT because he was doing an article with the New Yorker at the time, and he'd asked me to come along as kind of like PR support. And I was super green, and I still had a lot of questions, but I was like, I just can't understand because his idea was that I'm not destroying the Banksy. What I'm doing is I'm transferring it on chain. And so I just couldn't wrap my mind around why we could say that could be perceived as the same value. And he said, what you're forgetting is that my generation, and way to age me, thanks dude. He's like, my generation don't really go to each other's homes. We don't do what your generation did. We don't have dinner parties. We don't get together in each other's homes because we're global. We're global groups of friends. He's like, we flex and we show our digital assets in metaverses. That's how we commune. That's how we converse. And so, when you think about this, like showing off your metal collection, like it's not really about having it framed and on the wall anymore. It's about having it exist somewhere where your whole community can experience it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and also like Tristan Eden did like I think it's Gemma. I don't know if it's the pronunciation, but GEMMA. And it was like it was a one-of-one collection, like they're generated. And then you had the choice at 4 times to burn your NFT and get the physical or keep the NFT. I bought 4 of them because I really like his art. And I burned 2 because I wanted it, and they're literally like on my wall right in front of me. And then I kept 2. And I think that's and there was some people that didn't burn any. And so it's like, do you want the physical that you have to like lug around and all that stuff, or can you just put them up digitally? Or maybe you have like a digital frame that like rotates out all 4, or however many you bought. So it's a cool experience to see. What wins? Is it the physical or the digital? And I don't know what the final count was, but a lot got burned, but I think more stayed digital. And so I do think it's that. And I'm not saying it has to be a hard set to one. I kind of split the middle. Where I wanted something for my walls and didn't want to like wire a bunch of things, but I also really, really like the digital ones too. So it'll be interesting to see where the future goes. But I do think, the whole transference of, I did the reverse half where I burned a digital thing to get a physical. And then, this person with the Banksy, like burning the physical.
I still think it was sacrilegious that he burnt the Banksy, just for the record. Like,
sorry, what was that?
I still think it was sacrilegious that he burnt the actual physical piece, and I told him that. But as an artist, like at your core, when you release art into the world, you're doing just that. You're releasing it.
It's no longer yours. It kind of takes a life of its own.
And there's also kind of a rich history in the idea of burning something. Like there's a few artists like throughout history that have notoriously burnt their old work because they they feel like it is preventing them from moving on. I actually worked with an artist a few years back who burnt his work to then use the burnt embers to create new work. So this idea of burning for something new is not new.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's move on. So what else do we have? So well, let's just mention Base is doing a heck of a lot internationally right now. We've got Jesse flying all over the place, visiting India, Africa. We've got Latin America activation, Southeast Asia, and that's happening. I think actually maybe that just wrapped. It was September 27th through October 13th. So congrats to the Base team for getting the word out internationally. So moving on from Base, should we talk Unichain? That was a big announcement this week.
Yeah, these folks from Uniswap have released Unichain, and I think there's some dev grants that are going out. You can try it right now in testnet, I think, by going into your settings on Uniswap and then activating like the Unichain, and you can just see how fast it is. I want to say there's like 1 second blocks, but then there's also quarter of second blocks as well. And so that's going to lend to a lot of more interesting things, especially on like the swaps and finance side. And so it's just technology upgrade. And I think it's going to be the foundation for, again, building even more kind of unique and cool integrations and applications for exchanging money and exchanging things and purchasing things in a decentralized way. So it's exciting to see the announcement, and we'll see kind of like what comes out of that with some of these dev grants getting fulfilled for building new and exciting things.
Let me read the official announcement here. So Uniswap Labs has unveiled Unichain, a new Ethereum-based layer 2 blockchain powered by the Optimisn Superchain, designed to improve transaction speed, reduce costs, and enhance liquidity across chains. Unichain aims to tackle some of the key barriers to DeFi adoption with features like near instant block times, cross-chain interoperability, and innovations such as trusted execution environment for block building. And Unichain promises to usher in the next generation of decentralized finance. So I think it's a good time to FUD bust, because one of the things that we saw on the timeline this week was a little humor talking about, I woke up this morning and I was really sad because there was no new L2. Like, we are seeing a new L2 pretty frequently lately. How much is too much? Let's bust some FUD here. Let's talk.
Yeah. So the way that I think Optimism is the layer 2 itself, and you could make the case for like technically they're all layer 2s, but because they're all under the Superchain, it's kind of like one platform that they're all kind of at. So yeah, they're separate, but they're actually under like the same DNA. And I think the further that we go, the term interoperability will become like more of a tangible thing. I think it's something that's spoken about a lot and actually not executed about as often or as frictionless as we'd hope. And so we're seeing it right now with some proposals that are out where Optimism's hoping to like let you have a token on one chain that just like behind the scenes, it's just whoosh, so developers don't need to touch it, the users don't need to touch it. It just works across the Superchain. NFTs also being like those types of tokens are also, I think, probably set up to be in the mix for that. I've seen some of the drafts and whatnot of like smart contract changes. And so with that, all of these layer 2s that seem like there's a new one I can't keep up every day, soon enough it won't matter, and you'll just kind of like have your assets in your wallet and the rest will just kind of take care of itself, which sounds like magic, which is I think where we need to head. Like if you have $1 in the physical world and you need to switch it for because you're traveling, you have to go to a place and you have to swap it and do all this. We kind of have currently that same setup where you have to like bridge it to here or use a third party like Relay or whatever to like detangle it quickly for you. That kind of, I think, is going to start to go away to some extent across the Superchain, to where it happens frictionlessly, super fast, instantaneously on demand. And you don't have to really worry about the steps. It just happens. And so when that is the case, all these layer 2s can focus on like what makes them special, like their niche.
Did we just lose your video, or did we lose my video? I think we might have lost Brock. Are we still live? Let's see. I think we are. I'm going to keep rolling. Let me just double check and make sure that we are still live. Bear with us, folks. Yes, we are still live. I think we lost Brock. All right, so we will come back to that story when we get Brock back. But let's just touch on some other news that we had coming through. So Superseed has officially joined the Superchain, aligning with other networks like Base and OP Mainnet and Zora in this shared vision of creating a cohesive, interconnected blockchain. We're going to wait for a few seconds to circle back to Uniswap once Brock comes back. But let's just keep reading this Superseed story. So built on the OP stack, the Superchain emphasizes scalability, security, and interoperability between its member chains. And by joining the ecosystem, Superseed will benefit from shared infrastructure, enhanced security, and new economic incentives, including grants and retroactive public funding. As Superseed brings next-gen DeFi solutions to the Superchain, it aims to offer users a streamlined experience while contributing to the collective growth of Ethereum and, of course, decentralized finance. With a mainnet launch planned for later this year, Superseed is poised to play a crucial role in driving the success of the Superchain's interconnected blockchain future. So let me share this. Hold on one second. Let's see. We are going to share this so you can go check it out yourself. Bear with us, folks. All right. So we're going to drop all these links underneath the video once we are done here. But great piece here. You can go read about this. And I will drop it under the video. What is the Superchain? We're excited to join the Superchain. What role will Superseed play in the Superchain? Superchain, even. That's hard to say at 8:30 in the morning. All right, so we got Brock back. I didn't know whether
they didn't want me to say what I was saying. They cut the power to my modem. I fixed it, but hi.
Hi, welcome back. Welcome
didn't mean
back.
To throw you off. Did we
That's
bust
all right.
the button?
I did it to you a couple of weeks ago. It's funny. You're like, stage left.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think we did bust the FUD. I think so. I mean,
Okay.
if you are a non-techie person and you're looking at this, could you look at this the same way as kind of the wave and influx of apps that we saw?
Potentially, I would compare it more to, and I don't watch much TV anymore, but like, why do I keep getting all these new channels? Like, there's one for sports, there's one for this, there's one for, like, it might not be for you, but the fact that it like, are you saying it shouldn't exist? Like, I think it's going to get to the point where it's changed. Like, you can just switch the channel that you want to focus on right now, doing the thing that you want to do. And the cool thing is, moving outside of that metaphor, is you'll be able to have certain channels that all work together for this application, and you won't have to bother. It'll just happen. And so right now it seems like maybe there's an exhaustive list, but like it's going to give you the best of all worlds, because even if there's like 5 that do decentralized finance, someone can make an app that allows you to like arbitrage the best rates real time, same like we do for like airplane travel and whatnot. Why do we have 5 different airlines, or why do we have, like, it allows them to specialize and offer different perks and different rewards or trade-offs that you can then pick the one that's best for you. And so, yeah, it's a lot, but it's going to get more frictionless and seamless for you to just use them and get the best of all of the worlds. And so if it's bothering you, like, just close your eyes. In a few minutes, it'll all be, again, more frictionless. So it's only getting better. It's only going to give you more choice and more power as a user. And so, yeah.
So how are we feeling about Superseed? I did just read the summary while we were while I was solo, and they're kind of pitching themselves as let's see, because it's a little controversial, but we will clear your debt was, I think, the lead line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying as long as like the OP team is like vetting them, and I think eventually they want to get out of that space too, of like where it's more like to add more layers to the superchain or more chains on the superchain.
I just want to correct myself. The first blockchain that repays your debt.
Yeah, it's a great tagline. I want to see the details though, yes. Because I could see a world where it's like, okay, look, we're a lending platform. You apply with certain kind of on-chain credentials, and then we give you a rate. And if that rate is 25% or something like that, and again, I'm making these numbers up, maybe 5% supports the platform, but then the profit piece from like a typical lending actually just goes to building out the lending pool, and then the rest goes to, like, we pick random loans that like have like the oldest loan or what have you, or one that's closest to being paid off, and we cover like a chunk of it. So it's like you could borrow $100, and through it you're paying down, and then the last $5 they just say you're good because the platform pays for it. If that's the thing, I think that's great, and then more people will use it, which then gives more fun, like more percentages of like interest to then go and pay more loans. So it gets cheaper and more accessible to lend money. But I want to see the heart, like show me the numbers of what it is and how it's all working before I'm like, hooray, this is a great idea. I think it is a great idea on paper, but I want to see the details.
Yeah. Likewise.
I think that's the path for more Web3 stuff is, excuse me, instead of like someone extracting like 90% of the profits from all of the users and just going, sweet, I get a dope house. We can say, no, the price is actually like half that. And with half of that half, we're, paying off other things, or we're funding this other thing that now you get. Like, it's more creating for all. And sure, there's profits. Like, I'm not saying like there should be no profit. Like, I don't think that's realistic ever, because we have to sustain ourselves. But being able to like build and then build for others, or build at a reduced rate, so now it's more competitive than the Web2 stuff because we don't have all the overhead just because shareholders need money or what have you. I think it's going to lead to a better way of life for all of the users on chain.
Yeah. Just talk a little bit about how the Optimism funding mechanism works as well, because it's all based on Ethereum transactions, right? And that cycle is something that we've not really seen before.
As far as what? Sorry.
As far as like how things like retro grants are funded, as far as like how Optimism has so much capital to be able to deploy to energize developers, to give all these creator grants. It's all coming from transaction fees that happen on one, as I understand it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that come into play with that. They have tokens that they've set aside and earmarked for that specifically, and then they've created an economy that is holding at a certain value for their token, and that fluctuates a little bit, but there's like a range in which it's at, and that kind of helps them know how much they've got to work. And but with that, yes, they look into for the grants. It's very data driven, and it's going to continue to get more data driven. So it's like, how old is your wallet? Are you a brand new wallet with no transactions? Not really doing anything for the retro because there's no history there. But then like it's been around for 10 years. Okay, you've been in it, but what have you been doing that whole time? Is this just a wallet that you just sat on, that you just found the keys again? So you have a really old account, but like it's not done anything. Yeah. No, they want to see transactions. They want to see use. They want to see what Superchain like pieces. Have you gone on base? Have you done something on Zora? Have you done something over here? And then is it just like someone trying to like scam the system, where it's like, I've got 3 wallets and we're just going to pass $1 around and around and around and around and around to look like a bunch of transactions? Like, how many unique wallets have you interacted with? How many unique contracts have you interacted with? Like, are you actually using the Superchain as like a citizen of the Superchain, or are you just here hoping to like milk and game the system to get an airdrop? And so I think that more and more data that they're looking at, and then especially like something like base names, where you're starting to almost add earn badges or stamps of approval, or you've minted an NFT because you were there for a certain event. They can look at all of that on chain and have a little more comments, or you might get more because you did that, those kinds of things. But yeah, there is like percentages of transactions that kind of goes and funds into it and stuff like that. But transaction fee is kind of cheap, so it's going for the volume play of like onboarding billions of people.
Yeah, here's a probably embarrassing non-techie question from me. I was ineligible for any of the airdrop. I'm just sharing this on the screen, and we will drop this link for folks. Is there any way you could be ineligible because you've changed your ENS a couple of times?
I don't think that would make you ineligible. I think for this one, because at first I thought I was ineligible, and I ended up finding out that I was. But it was they added some stipulation about a ratio of how many unique contracts that you interacted with. So if you weren't going and like minting a lot of NFTs on Zora or mint, and I know you mint all that, but it was, if that was all the same technical contract because it was from a small subset. It got to the ratio. So if you were doing like a lot of transactions and like few smart contract interactions, or the reverse, I'm not sure what the math was, that made it was like a few people that were technically power users like yourself, that because of the ratio being slightly off, that pushed you just outside of the bounds. So more often than not, from a couple of folks that I was like following the conversations on, that seemed to be the case. And so it sucks for this round, but it's also feedback for Optimisn to kind of go in and adjust of like, okay, maybe this ratio, we've missed like people that we don't want to miss. Let's adjust here to where it makes more sense. But here's the trade-off or the balance, because I think at the end of the thing is they want to reward the people that are showing up and not the people that are showing up just with their hands out. Like we're creating something, we're participating in this thing. And so they're kind of like giving everyone a small incentive to go across. And the more that you do, the more that you can earn on different things and different rounds of retro grants. So yeah.
Amazing. So continuing the conversation with funding, WorldCoin, let's talk about WorldCoin. The WorldCoin Foundation has revamped its community grants program. Let me take this off the screen. Hold on. Let me continue. So it has revamped its community grants program, including a more accessible and flexible system for global innovators. Shifting from a wave-based approach, the foundation now accepts continuous applications, allowing community builders to submit proposals year-round. The change is coupled with rolling reviews, ensuring faster response times and more dynamic project support. The updated RFP, that's request for proposals, now aligns more closely with WorldCoin's current tech needs, particularly in areas such as world ID applications, digital identity solutions, and governance innovation. So let me share that piece up here, but let's talk. How do you feel about WorldCoin?
I'm not cool with the eyeball scanning stuff, but everything else, I think that it's headed towards the right direction. It's that, what kind of fence do you put up to legitimate, like make sure someone's real, and I think proof of pulse will come into a play, especially when you're getting into like decentralized identity and stuff, because like what's stopping somebody from like finding someone that passed away, not reporting that they passed away, and then using their identity to like reap all the rewards that they've been like for a lifetime kind of thing. So there's problems to solve, and I think the focus from them on like governance and like making choices in a decentralized way like makes a lot of sense, is why they're kind of like putting work on that. But with this switch, I think is a good one. The switch to so instead of saying like we do 4 quarterly rounds and like it becoming this big event, making it to where it's more liquid and able to say like, no, like we have this need right now, and it's in between what would have been seasons of or rounds of grants. We can just move on it, and so it allows things to happen more naturally, I think. And then building a platform or a way of embracing that real-timeness, I think not only makes builders who just now have learned about it be able to play a role, or problems that shift and pivots that need to happen, allow those to be embraced instead of like, 2 years ago we set up that this particular round was going to be about like farming at a global way. Excuse me. And that's not what we need anymore, but we set it so far in advance, it allows them to turn and pivot a little bit more rapidly to just make sure that the problems they want to solve now are the ones that they're able to fund and have built. So I think it's a great switch.
So we're going to drop that article under this video. One of the things I was thinking about this week is the idea of biometrics as an accessibility point for self custody, and this idea of not your keys, not your crypto. But with that, as a user, we've seen some risk. We've seen kidnapping of high net worth people who are known to hold a lot of crypto. There's been a kind of a move, like we've seen a lot more of that happening at crypto conferences. Like, do you think there's going to be something that some parameters around that we can perhaps look at to protect people? Because I mean, like thinking about like old institutional management of money versus how today, like you couldn't, if you tried, go and transfer $1 million out of your bank account over the phone if you had $1 million. I don't, but you couldn't do that if somebody kidnapped you. You couldn't do that over the phone, right? There are certain protections that exist for consumers, but you could do that with crypto.
Yeah, there's no one to call to stop it, right? Like it is, if you did the transaction, you did the transaction. I think it comes down to like if you've got that level of assets where you're a target, doing something like a multi-sig wallet where it's like you can kidnap me, but like the code is the code. There's no like oh, because you have a gun to someone's head, like now we can just make it happen. No, sorry, I need like all of my money, like the big money, is basically a vault where I need like 5 signatures. I only have my one phone on me, so it's impossible to do it like that. That's one way. I can see smart contracts where instead of storing it in just a legit wallet, having everything in a smart contract that has like a time safe to it, where it's like I'm going to be away, so I'm putting everything in here so no one can touch my funds until I'm back or whatever. And then just again, there's no way that they could do it. So the kidnapping just becomes a crime without any kind of reward. So yeah, I think there'll be more things that allow that to become easy. But multi-sig wallets you can set up like today, and I think it's probably one of the current good practices to do, where you've got, add 3 wallets that are like completely disconnected, don't store all the keys together, and then you can like basically like vote yourself out and like replace a new wallet if you need to. If someone compromises one wallet, they need the other 2 votes to kind of pull anything off, and then when you're safe you can move everything around and vote out the other wallet, and then you're good to go again. So I think something like that is probably, and there's apps that make it easy. It doesn't have to be as complicated as it is. But yeah, that's things like that where you've got like, you've kidnapped me, but it's impossible for me to give you the money, even if you wanted to. Like, take my phone, I don't care. Like, you're not going to get anything because it's in this like multi-sig wallet situation. So you would need to have like 5 other keys to be able to do it if you really like want to take it to the extreme. So things like that, I think, where it becomes not even a smart attempt, because that becomes the norm, where you kidnap somebody and you're in trouble for kidnapping somebody with no chance of getting any money from it. And they're like, well, you need to call so-and-so, and they don't have the keys, man. Like, I'm sorry. Well, where are the keys?
That's where I think we need more education on just the idea of, with great accessibility and self-sovereignty comes great risk. So how do we ensure that people are protected? Like, how do we ensure, that somebody who has maybe with ease set up a wallet using biometrics, does well, is able to, build some wealth, and then is hacked. So
yeah, I don't recommend having the biometrics for your face on, because then it's like, just hold your phone up to like they kidnap you and hold the phone up to your face and it unlocks. Like, oh, okay. Also, if you're gonna be somewhere, like maybe have a burner phone, and maybe not just like a burner phone, but like this is your phone that makes calls and does everything else, but it doesn't have any crypto on it at a crypto conference or wherever, or like if you're a big person with like, I've got so much Bitcoin and blah 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 blah, like that's not a great thing to talk about, I don't think. But then also like have like your phone that makes calls and texts and social media. Oh no, they got into my social media. Okay, delete the post afterwards or whatever. But like, don't bring your bank vault key with you. Right. That just seems like a good practice to do. And then, oh, we've kidnapped you. You need to make so and so bring this. Like, they don't know how to do any of that. Like it's not like, you know what I mean? Like it's So
just thinking about like you wouldn't go out to an event with pockets full of gold, right? Like, don't take your wallet that has your net worth in it, like
that can unlock because you looked at it. Like I saw someone that this goes full circle back to like the degen moment. Like, someone had some kind of transaction pop up, and their biometrics for signing things was their face. And so when they opened their phone, they were already looking at it, and so it auto signed the transaction.
Oh my god.
And so they basically lost a bunch of degen that they were sitting in. Myself and a couple others like made it right, because it was like, it's free money, like let's make somebody whole if we can. But still, like, don't. But I think unlocking stuff with your face is a dumb move, unless it's like I have a tablet that does that for like drawing, and so it's annoying to not, like, yes, it's the convenience of being able to unlock it, but like that tablet has nothing but my art stuff on it. Like there's no one's gonna secretly get into something and get money. But like my phones or anything like that, or my like all my secure wallets and stuff like that, like I want it to be hard, because I'm not going into that like vault, if you will, every single day. I shouldn't accidentally be able to open it up it's a serious thing. So with crypto, it unlocks a lot. And it puts the control on you, and there's no one that you can call to fix it. And that can be scary for a lot of folks. But I do think the friction level and even we've seen in like browser wallets, they pop up with a lot more like alerts and stuff now to keep you safe, or they simulate the transaction so you can say, oh, I'm giving up all of my money for nothing. Like, should I sign this? Yeah. Those kinds of things. And so I think that's only going to get easier. I don't think it's dangerous, so you should never touch it. I think it's dangerous, so let's put safeguards in place where no one has to own it. Like, this is the way. We don't steer away from this. We just make it to where it's less dangerous.
Speaking of that very topic, I think we should look at the Wallet Connect, because there was a lot of this week that were like, wait, something doesn't feel right here, to the point where you had the Rainbow founder even make a video and be like, no, this is legit, guys. Like,
it got posted in it got posted in a Discord. I hate Discord, but I got posted in a Discord, one of the few that I participate in, and I was like, and I started looking at the URL. I was like, is that the URL? I've used Wallet Connect for like lots of stuff that we build, but like I was even like, well, this seems weird, and like I looked at it, I was like, okay, wait, no, it is right. And it doesn't help that I think like Wallet Connect had like a different name that they might be switching to, like for like a rebrand, and so like it was just a lot. But this does seem legit. One thing though is it's different with this. Yeah, for sure. But it's legit, but make sure you have the right links. But yeah, with this, the airdrop that you're getting, whatever tokens you may get, are not transfer. Like, you can't sell them, you can't transfer them. That's by design. So it'll have use and utility within like the Wallet Connect ecosystem. If you're not familiar with Wallet Connect, they actually make it easy for you to connect a bunch of different wallets to decentralized applications. So it's one of the major wallet connector tools out there. And so I think they're trying to level up what they're going to be offering as far as governance and choices, things like that. And so this token will help kind of have people have that voting power. And they did say later they might unlock it. But if you're like going, sweet, airdrop, free money, I don't think that's this. So if you're not ever going to do anything with Wallet Connect and you're unsure, don't mess with it. You don't have to do this because if you were only seeing it as like a free airdrop for free tokens to sell, it's not that kind of airdrop. But if you are part of like the on-chain ecosystem, it might make sense to get these tokens, like whatever you're allowed to get through this airdrop. But it's not value; it's value and like utility. So just something to note.
Awesome. One other airdrop claim is this Rarible degen campaign. I think there was some funds here as well for folks who minted. You were eligible for this, right?
I was. I'm like the 99th top holder. I think Melissa Burr, our wonderful friend, who I feel like we have to bring up every time, was like, I'm going to mint a bunch of these just because I think that it's I think that it'll make sense later. And I was like, okie dokie. And so I minted, I think, like 20 or something like that. And with that, I ended up getting, I think it was like 1,200 degen. So like not a huge air, but it was a free air. Like it was basically free. It was just pay the gas to mint them. Yeah. And it was just a cool another like landmark for degen's kind of history. And so I think it's like street value is like $12, but still, yeah. But so that's lunch.
That is lunch. We are not complaining about the free money, and had to stay on. So we started, and we're kind of coming to a close with degen, which I love. We did have Jacek on the show. We'll definitely drop that video underneath this as well, so if folks can go check it out. He is the founder of degen. I think there was one other thing we were going to close out with, and I know what I was going to close out with. We kicked off this week on the Timepieces version of the show a new segment called Cause of the Week, which is in partnership with Help, which you and I co-founded. And our guest or our kind of cause of the week is actually going to be joining us next week. She couldn't make it today, but that is the wonderful, of course, Rainbow Mosho and her lovely mom. So I just want to give them a shout out. Look at this wonderful, shining beam of energy. Lovely Rainbow. And Rainbow has an amazing cause. Rainbow is trying to bridge the digital gap for young teens in terms of ensuring that they have on-chain knowledge. She's written 5 books. She spoke at the UN. And she currently has a help campaign going where you can support her cause. And she did get some news this week that she was actually funded $2,500 from a generous donor. So we just want to give flowers to Rainbow, and yay. And we have some stuff
great
coming.
Cause.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say it's a great cause. She was one of our kind of like incubators, if you will, where we kind of helped a bunch of people, like handhold them through using help. And just jumped right out of the gate and stood out as one of the, again, everybody was awesome, but the time and the care and the artwork to put into the campaign, I think just makes it stand out.
Yeah.
And so also crazy that Rainbow Wallet hasn't reached out. Like, it seems like it's a win-win there. But still, yeah, it's really cool to see her get the funding that she's getting. I think, again, she's not yet at goal, but continuing to push on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's exciting times all around for people doing on-chain good.
Yep, and we have help, probably news and updates coming in the next couple of weeks as well. So keep an eye out for that. Lots of exciting things happening. But I think that's our show for today.
Sounds good to me.
Yep. All right, folks. We will see you next week for the Superchain Spotlight. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.